Welcome back. We are going to do a speed round of going over our brand guidelines document. First off, we'll be going through the gallery, the brand overview, the logo and variants, color, typography, iconography, photography, mascots and characters, UI components, shadows and borders, motion, layout, voice and tone, AI policy, sub-brands and ecosystem, as well as asset naming and governance. So I'm going to hit this little play button because I can't multitask, and it's going to go through it. We're going to go through our brands as well. So I've got 7 brands here: Potatoes, Tomatoes, I Don't Know What I'm Doing, Hot Potato Games, Explore the Cell, Tater Dash, and Satori. I've been working on Explore the Cell and Tater Dash these past 2 months, and oh, just like that, we're moving on. The brand overview. So you can think of a brand overview as exactly that. You have a brand, describe it. Something that when someone sees this document, they know what your brand's about. It should have your vision, it should have your mission, and we're moving on. Logo and variants. So your logo is going to be used in a variety of different contexts. I have a text-based logo for Potatoes, and I put it on my shirt sometimes. It also goes in some marketing material that I put in my ads. Okay, color is super important. So with color theory, you've got colors like red, which is like fiery, emotional, passion, orange, maybe a little warmer depending on the shade, how bright you have it. We're already moved on though. So typography, there are decisions you're going to have to make. There's these things called serifs, sans serifs, meaning without serifs. It's French for some reason. We're moving on. Iconography, when you're choosing the icons for your app, you're able to convey something about your app and its mission, which makes the brand overview piece important. Maybe you do everything else first before you get to those things, and then you reintertwine it with the brand overview. But now we're at photography. Look at that face. A face only a mother could love. You can see it in the top right corner. Mascots and characters. A lot of my brands that I'm making have consistent characters. I got this butter sticker right here. I got this sticker of Russ, the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. They're important. Might as well put them in your brand document, your brand guidelines document. So we have UI components. I like to put some of these here so that when you're bootstrapping a website, you have the ability to quickly get started. You don't need to come up with a huge, robust design system necessarily at first, even though you're going to want to do that. Shadows and borders, that's kind of included in what the UI components will be composed of. Motion. So what we've got here, it's auto scrolling, right? Look, my hands aren't doing anything, and there's a little play button right here. I have incorporated motion into my brand Potato Core. It's supposed to be bringing you in and inviting. Layout. It's on a timer, it's 10 seconds, it's stressful. Layout, look at me right here. I'm actually using this tool called OBS, and I can go like this, and all of a sudden I'm bigger. So now we have AI policy. I think that it's important that in the modern era of building brands, that you have a sophisticated or at least declared AI policy for how you're informing your users, how you're using AI. Because if you're just using AI haphazardly, you're probably going to have a lot of like artifacts in some of the images that you generate. You might not always be on brand with your voice. All right, back to what we're doing. Sub brands and ecosystem. I've got a lot of sub brands. Potatoes is a bucket for Hot Potato Games is a bucket for a bunch of different games such as Satori, Explore the Cell, and Tater Dash. Asset naming and governance, this might not apply to you, but if you're using AI to generate a bunch of content, or even if you're just working with a big team, it's good to get like names down. So if I have icons for potatoes, as you see here, over here, as you can see this right here, potatoes, cool. I need that logo in other locations, like over here. So if I name it a specific way, it's gonna be helpful. Now this guy right here, that is Russ, the chief executive officer. He says a lot, and that's mainly his character. He has a lot of great ideas, but oftentimes leaves the floor open for other people to say things. That's his executive assistant right there, the pierogi. Now we've got hot, chill, nostalgic, paradoxical, fun. That's supposed to be the brand that Potatoes is. It's thought-provoking. There's action, there's movement, personality, it's alive, there's gradients. Some of the characters aren't even all in the same rubber hose style. I really like how the curly fry turned out, so I'm keeping her, even though she's not in the same style as all my other stuff. And here we have the potatoes logo again. You want to declare a few different ways you're using your logo because, as you can see, I don't think I can. It's got a mind of its own. It's doing its own thing. Ooh, that one messed up. So that's okay. I don't like that. That's okay. So I'm working on getting this automated. When I deployed them, it started pointing them in a different direction. Doesn't matter. We're doing this live. So our colors are hot. Yeah, so we've got our brand colors. These are important when you're building a new product. Like, one thing that I started telling these in my adversarial reviews is, hey, when you're working with our colors, or not just our colors, once you've got enough of the components, whether it's the colors, the typography, the icons, and the characters, start generating some products, not in like a buy this sense, but in a look at what you're, look at this sense. What does that mean? Like a poster, a flyer, a brochure. You want to see what your brand looks like on paper. It's going to look different than on print. Like this, I'm not sure if these are the exact colors that my brand is because I have to work with vendors. I procure potatoes. That said, having those colors to lean on, I need to do that or else it just goes haywire. Quite frankly, I love how this jersey came out. I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces of clothing now. So I'm very satisfied with what I sent them and then what they ended up sending me. So that's part of the procurement process. When you're in procurement, you're going to want to know what your colors are. You're going to want to know what some of your themes are. Some of my themes are, at least in this stage of the brand, I really like these little stripes. So I have like an orange one on its way. And I also like how the collar's black, but the hoodies or the shirt is white. So you could see in here, we've got the stripes. We've got the orange, we're photography. But if we look at the direction, the art direction of the photography, it's alive. It's colorful. It's not, quite frankly, I think these guys look too cool. You know, the lifestyle one right there, I think is the best one that I've seen so far. I'm afraid to scroll away because it might break the auto scrolling, but he was smiling in that one. There are a couple different like rules you might want to incorporate when you're working on photography. So then there's the art of arrangement. Like, I wrestle with this one a lot. It's just all that we're seeing in here are decisions that you're going to want to make and encode in a document. I have a skill that does it, potato skills. This is the brand guidelines skill. So we've got minimal, framed, full, and card, framed panel, full panel, snap scroll sequence, all of those things. The main things with the, we got the issue with the images. That's just going to live on forever in the Hall of Shame. But with those card images, one of them I thought looked like a notification or informational card. Another one kind of felt more like a notification that was important, the colored one. Then there was also a card, which I think might make more sense as like a receipt, something that you've already paid for. It was rounded. I might encode that as part of the rules now. And where do I encode it? I encode it in one of these documents. Once it's in one of these documents, anytime I build something that depends on this document, it's going to be correct. The AI is able to infer, and I'm not going to have to tell it every time. Now, there's a bunch of different strategies for that. I just got Codex. I'm now paying for Claude and Codex on their max plans. I really like, okay, well, I'm yapping. We're constrained. Now we're looking at Tomatoes. Tomatoes is supposed to be the like rival adversarial brand to Potatoes, where Potatoes is breadth first. Let's go like this. Breadth first. Oh, Brett. Hi, my name is Brett. Breadth first. Tomatoes is supposed to be depth first. So what I want as I work on Tomatoes, and I might delegate that work to someone else, but it's going to be all just one thing. And what is that one thing? You might be wondering. Tomatoes is just about growing plants. So if you're trying to get into growing, I live in an apartment right now. I maybe could make it happen. I'm not growing anything right now. Once I start growing, I think it'll be authentic to work on tomatoes. When I was growing up, I had a neighbor, lovely Italian woman. She was a grandma to someone I went to school with, straight out of Italy. I'm going to be thinking of her when I'm working on tomatoes. I have a very close friend. Growing up, go to his house. His parents, both of them, were really good cooks. Mexican family. Delicious food. I'm pretty sure that they were cooking or that they were growing. I think of them when I think of this. I want this to be Latin inspired. Latin, I consider to be all of the Romance languages. I mean, at least Italian and Spanish. So all of the decisions that I made behind the logo system, the colors, the iconography, typography, photography, it's all inspired by that like Latin. Honestly, it's a caricature. It's like this lovely old woman farming. For some reason, I was so dense. I didn't care when I was a kid. I hope that maybe I can reach people as I get older, especially like the youth, maybe, about like care about that stuff. Eating fresh fruit, I just thought like, oh, the molecules are the same, so it's good if it's super processed because, like, and I still sometimes am like, process just means someone worked on a thing. This is my personal brand. This is just me yapping, but here's some stuff that I made. So then barely there on purpose. Yeah, I don't want tomatoes to be all about these characters that I'm inventing, these potato characters, but I do want like, so we got the grow in, we got the ripen, we got the rustle. Quite frankly, I don't think these actual, because I'm not really working on this right now, but the notions are correct. See that grow in works, the ripen, I kind of like it, but I feel like for a true ripen, I would want it to be green and then to slowly become red and morph into red, as opposed to just go from transparent to red, because that ripening is not an invisible thing that happens. I still think it's better than like if it bounced in. That's not really when I think of a tomato, how a tomato grows, it ripens. I think I would want to see it like bloom at first and then ripen. So we're growers. We like to grow. See, that's very clear. It's not a bunch of yammering. It's just we're growers. We like to grow. That's tomatoes. 3 futures, 1 house. You have garden kits, you have seeds, and you have cultural pride. So I would pull up to a farmer's market with the Italian flag, the Mexican flag. Bam, we got customers. See, that sounds so... I look at some like branding tactics and I'm like, I just can't help but laugh, because part of me is like, I would rather work with someone who is interested in those things or is doing those things. Now we've got, I don't know what I'm doing. The library, you enter by admitting it. This one, I let it do its pass on what we already had, and I gave it some answers. I'm going to, this part of our adversarial review. I think the next time I do this, a lot of these brands are going to be a lot better, because a single pass with the adversary, ooh, brain's going. What I could do is record this whole thing, or I am recording this whole thing. I could get the transcript for this whole thing and then turn that into the adversarial review that I give Claude. And then you can just watch that Claude Code will interpret the words that I said and improve everything that I complained about. So the secret here is I have to start complaining more. 3 letters in a period. I like the colors. I like those colors. I didn't like there's one thing that I saw that I didn't like. Well, okay, one thing I don't like about this is I told it to skip from section to section with the automation, but there's a problem with that because it kind of glosses over sections that are too big. I need it to scroll and settle page to page, not section to section. So the secret there, Claude, is going to be the viewport. The view height, we want it to scroll that much before settling. And then maybe it'll only settle for like, if it scrolls slower, it doesn't need to settle necessarily for 10 seconds, but so a serif that reads everything. See those little fancy things right there? See those little fancy things right over there? My head was on it. Maybe it'll settle somewhere and I can show you, I'll look directly at a serif. See this T that I'm looking at? How it's got that little little thing? That little thing? I'm looking at you. That is a serif. So then we've got line work, pattern over picture. I don't know, never illustrates literally. Its images are abstract structure. Yeah, I like that because the way that I'm building, I don't know what I'm doing, is I ask it a question. I recommend, quite frankly, if you want to work with me and you're like, where do I get started? I'll tell it like, I'm going to tell them, I don't know what I'm doing. And then they're going to be like, what? I thought I trusted you. Like, you're supposed to know what you're doing. I do know what I'm doing. Start with, I don't know what I'm doing, because Claude will teach you how to use it as you use it. Same with Codex, whatever coding agent. I almost sound like I'm evangelizing. I definitely feel like I'm evangelizing the wrong thing here. What you really want to do is get healthy, get outside, get sunlight, and read your Bible. That stuff is going to do wonders more than working with AI. If you're trying to work on your business, there are necessary actions in the current state of time that require that you start to learn how AI works. And you're going to be left behind if you don't use it. Maybe there's universal basic income coming, and you're going to be just like the rest of everybody else, and nothing matters. What do I mean, and nothing matters? And none of this matters. Maybe none of this matters. I want to build cool stuff. That's why I'm doing this stuff. And I want to help you build cool stuff. And I want to make money. Quite frankly, I want some money. So that's what we're doing here. I don't know. Talks like the librarian of the Akashic Records. Let me see if I can put that on for the next one. We're going to give it a shot. The spec outranks every renderer. When you name your assets accordingly, the system just knows what to do with them. You don't actually have to know everything about your brand. If you name things properly, the brand will build itself. See, that felt like Akashic Records librarian. I know what I'm saying. So now we've got Hot Potato Games. And quite frankly, I'm already considering changing what the Hot Potato Games token looks like. That's a trust line token icon. That's the character that was in the original Tater Dash. We've since adjusted Tater Dash, but this is gonna be another long video, but I don't care. Brand overview, lasting life change. It's hot. It's in the name. Hit, sprints, the burn. Yeah. So the mission, the annual Hot Potato Games. This is what I want to do for Hot Potato Games. It's a brand that's about these three. It's really about these three people. It's the ideal customer profile. You can just look at what's built in the background by the brand system guidelines, and I'm just going to yap about these three people. First is James. James is fat. James is me. I was James. James likes girls that don't like him. James would fall over and have to pull his shirt down. He'd hit his head and it'd be bleeding, but he would definitely pull his shirt down before he wipes the blood off his head. James would go into the water with his wet shirt on, and then his pepperoni, they're poking out, all right? He was embarrassed. So what does he do? He was passionate about escaping. Whatever it was, he would go play video games. That is James. I want to help you, James, because it doesn't have to be this way. There are certain things that if you just do them, and these things are just called habits, and the things that you have to do are just the hard things. You know, it's not going to be too fun. But when you see yourself on the other side of that, you are going to always feel a little more joyous. And there's also there's benefits that come with restraint. A lot of us find it difficult to deal with restraint. But James, let me tell you this, James. You like to escape, and you're passionate about escape. You fear your belly being shown. It doesn't have to be this way. I want you to join a community that also enjoys escape. We all like playing games, but we're all also on a personal journey to trying to get our fitness in line. Now, I'm not here trying to tell you that I am a health and wellness expert. I can tell you about what I learned was the afterburn effect, and that got me shredded washboard abs. I since got fat, but I'm getting back to it. And that's actually our second and third character that we will be addressing now. Thank you, James. I love you. I care about you. So we've also got Horatio. That's the third guy. The second guy is... Are we just talking about guys here? Who's the second guy? What's his name? Ike. Because Icarus. He flew too close to the sun. So here's a story. When I was a kid and fat, I was like, I want to look like a Greek god one day. Like I just want to be chiseled like that. And then I just decided, like, I'm a little on the spectrum, you know, like I can do some research. I know that's insensitive, but I studied hard and I'm like, all right, high intensity interval training sounds like the way, and calorie deficit sounds like the way. And I think the way to get a calorie deficit is to just measure my food, eat spinach, and then like rarely eat cheese and bread. But I was eating quesadillas with vegetables at that time. I think I also might have been a vegetarian for a little of this. Now I'm eating a lot of chicken, high protein. That helps. This is how you get shredded. High intensity interval training, lift heavy, but also don't over. This is Ike. Listen to me, Ike. This was your problem, Ike. You overdid it. You were doing hill sprints every other day in tall grass, whether the tall grass and it was sharp straw-like grass that was like cutting you. You wore cleats, and that was good. I'm not saying you can't wear cleats, but you were doing these hill sprints and you would do them every other day. No wonder you got shin splints. No wonder you gave up on it all. No wonder once you got to that dream body you were looking for, your body was so torn up that you couldn't do anything. And no wonder you turned to the bottle. You started drinking again. That's you, Ike. What are you passionate about? You're passionate about doing it. What are you afraid of? You are afraid that if you take a day off and you rest and you let your body heal, that you're not going to continue those habits that you built. And it's because you lack faith. You lack faith in yourself and you lack faith in God. You prayed about it, yet you still thought that if you took one day off to let your body rest and heal, as declared in the Ten Commandments, to keep the Sabbath day holy, because God rested from all the work of creating that he'd been doing, and you failed. You didn't do that. So you got hurt. Flew too close to the sun. Thank you, Ike. Now, yeah, I actually hate this one. I tried to tell it, the mark decomposed. Why is it like orbiting now? Ugh, hideous. See how it's like circling the logo system on the left? Let's see if I could. No! This one. No. Click this. I'm looking at you. Why do you look like that? That looks stupid. What am I talking about? I'm talking about these I'm getting new to this OBS thing. It was supposed to be like, I want them to be wavy. I'll get it. Claude, you'll get it. So what I was just doing, Claude, was I was using OBS to drag my image over to the side panel and review my typography, or no, just the different selected items on my side panel. And it's showing that, like I had asked you for 4 ovular, like, I think I said circles, to like just like rotate clockwise and counterclockwise. 2 of them should be going clockwise, 2 of them should be going counterclockwise, but they were supposed to be like wavy. For some reason, they're very circular. I need the texture of those circles to be like a sine wave and of different degrees of intensities, and like also add noise into those, because that would make it look more like the cell that is the icon for this Explore the Cell. And here we go into the illustration. But honestly, since we're still in Hot Potato Games, Explore the Cell is a game within Hot Potato Games, so you got all our characters in there too. So it's Tater Dash. So we're going to stick on this. This is the ideal customer profile. And I've kind of told the system this, but we'll have another document that is dedicated to our ideal customer profile. My plan is, like, whatever it looks like on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Slack, we just have a fake profile that we build, and we like stalk this fake person, and we create automations that scan for current events and then try and get hot takes that person would make, and then we try and sell to that person making those hot takes as we push it through our sales funnels. Is it schizophrenic? Maybe. I think it'll work. I at least think it'll be a fun experiment to see, like, what does AI think our ideal customer profile will be doing. So we talked about Ike, his passion, exercise, his fear, not just his passion is exercise, but his passion is to go, and his fear is to stop. Because if he stops, he's going to give it all up. He's just going to forget about it. He's got dopamine problems, you know? Like, there's that fear that if you take a rest day or you don't run, you don't let your body heal, that the next day you're going to be off it again, and then the next day, and then the next day. It's the same with a cheat meal. Like, I've had cookies in my house and some cake that a friend, for their birthday, I was like, I've been told to hold on to it, and I was supposed to bring it back to them, but I thought that was going to be Saturday. That didn't work out. So now I just have that food here. I can't eat it. Like 3 months ago, I would have housed that stuff. But like, I'm not even tempted right now because I'm so like, if I take a day off, I'm screwed. And I think it's okay sometimes to have that mindset. But other times, like with the things that tear down your body, like exercise, it's not good. You shouldn't just be like, I'm going to just keep destroying my body. You have to heal. You have to eat to fuel yourself. You need to establish that relationship with food that's non-toxic. I'm not going to try and sit here and tell you that like I'm like for body positivity. I'm for body, mind, soul positivity. Like, we are a collective, and I'm not going to try and convince your mind to corrupt itself into thinking that what is good is bad and what is bad is good. I think that there are ideal forms, and I think that beauty is something to be admired. Quite frankly, I think like sub 7% body fat for a man, that's not something that I think is like, I think some people are like super attracted to that. I think just being under 20% is like good for the majority of people who are like struggling with being deeply overweight. Now, if you want to judge these people who are like that size and say, "Oh, they've got a lot of work to do," I don't care. Quite frankly, I'm not gonna be on that boat. I'm gonna say, I enjoy running now. I enjoy playing sports. I enjoy getting active, and I'm dedicated to not putting bad stuff in my body. So if I start to go lower towards the 17, 15, 13% range, it's going to be because I've decided that I want to take care of myself. It's not going to be because I'm so obsessed with trying to. We're getting to the third person now. The third person is Horace or Horatio. Um, hit passionate about hedonism. He's already accomplished his goals, but he realized it was hollow. He went from like he wanted to do it for the girls so that he could eat whatever he wants and not feel bad about it, so that he could waste away drinking, doing drugs. Horatio, he got there and he realized how hollow and empty all that was. He achieved his goals, his dreams, and now he's just crashing and burning because, oh my gosh, this is terrible. What is he passionate about? Finishing. He got to the end, he did it, but it was empty. What is he afraid of? That this is all there is. Oh, it's just washboard abs? That's all my life is? Now I'm getting attention from people who didn't care about me? How horrible of a feeling is that, to think that the only reason they care about me or are giving me any type of attention is because what I did to my body? You can't let that get you down. You have to realize that once you get to that goal, to that dream body, that is day one. Because now you're going to try and keep that and enjoy life while also being able to educate others and be a more productive member of the community. You're going to be able to be a better father, a better brother, a better son, a better friend, a better community member. Whatever it is, however you show up to wherever you are, whether you're an employee, you're an employer, you're an entrepreneur, you work in corporate America, whatever it is, you're going to be able to show up better with more energy if you sustain that and can figure out how to sustain that lifestyle. Getting there might not be sustainable, but sustaining it is something that you can work on. And you have to know that it's not hollow and that you're making a huge impact on others by being that inspiration, especially if you're someone who was big and then became small. Now, if you've been small your whole life, and I say small almost in a diminutive way, diminutive. I don't mean it in a bad way, but people who are like very skinny and then people who are very big, they have very different, I think very similar mental issue with regard to or very I don't even know I don't even know if it's worth comparing. The big person's like, I'm clearly big, this is horrible, or I'm very big, or they don't think they're big, they just have blindness to it, and they don't realize that it does impact others. And it's not impacts others in a way where you're not worthy of love. Like, that is worth addressing more than anything else. Like, yeah, you're still worthy of love. I look at it like, I don't want to be a burden on others. I'm already 6'1". If I'm on a plane and my elbows, and I'm like kind of comfortable, you're probably going to feel my elbows. That's going to be true if I'm like 500 pounds or if I'm like 270 and like jacked. Like, I don't like the idea of either of those. Now, if you're small there, or you're like very skinny and lanky or tall, and like you're not taking up much room, I think I would still compel you to consider hot potato games, because get stronger. Like, you're going to feel better about yourself if you're stronger, and not in like you're weak, so you got to get strong way, but in a life is better when you like, when the little things are not quite so hard. And by the little things, I mean like, going to the car, getting the groceries in one trip. Come on now. Or like, maybe you want to discover a little bit more humility, and you want to go to it's funny, this is not Satori at all, but well, okay, well, we're gonna wrap up my little we have Horatio, James, and Icarus. So, and these aren't necessarily even the colors. I kind of like I'm digging the font for this. Satori is like, yeah, 166 species, 62 attacks, 21 attack types, a dynamic grid. When you actually play the game for the first time, because it's going to be coming out in like a month and a half or maybe 2 months, It's like so much different than this because like this is like the brain dump of like how I see the future, like the prophetic, like this is gonna be the future of Satori. But like the actual fun of Satori, like the first version, is actually gonna work as a board game. How does the board game play? It's just this 8x8 grid. Um, I'm still deciding as to whether it's 2 rows or 1 row. And I'm still deciding if the first version is the level 1 character, the level 2 character, or the level 3 character. It's more like an evolution stage. Stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. I I the rule I'm putting for myself is make sure that it's as simple as possible in the beginning. So what I could do is it's 1 row of the level 1 character and you're just a heads up battle. So what's a heads up battle? They have 2 attacks and they can move. So the reason this works as a board game is you can imagine, yeah, this was supposed to be a brand guidelines thing. You probably got what you were looking for in the beginning. Like, why are you still watching this video if you think I'm still talking about iconography, UI components, photo and illustration, mascots? Make those decisions, encode that stuff, stop wasting time, do an adversarial review, and then get back to this. But if you're still here, you're definitely here because you want to hear me talk about, it's called Satori. Every time I tell Claude, it's like Satori, which I mean, it's not bad. I think that means light in Japanese, which is like beautiful. Potator, or means light in Hebrew. Potator. We have potatat and potatike. This is like the these are the 3 versions of our potato character, the earth line. But in the first version, I'm thinking we just go with one of them. It's funny. They have the like overworld sprite for one of the, they're called weeps. And it's because they weep when they die. They don't faint, they start weeping. But it's, the weep is spelled O-U-I-P, but then they weep. So I just like words. What are we talking about? Potato. 8x8 grid. You control these potatikes, and they can summon a potato in front of them, which is an obstacle. That takes a turn. And then they can boop a potato, which launches it. And the launches can ricochet. They do not transfer momentum. When you get hit with a launched obstacle, it goes equally as far as it was sent. And I think if I'm going to do it that way, that would mean that 3 tiles is a valid launch. So what gets me so excited about working on this stuff is when there was this game, Mega Man Battle Network. It was a 3x6 or 6x3 grid. It was Mega Man Battle Network like 2, 3, 4, and 5 that I like really liked. I think 6 was pretty good too, but it started to get a little weird. And I say weird when what I'm trying to do is like super weird. It was a 6x3 grid, 6 width, 3 height. I tried to make this game called Tenlock, but I was too new in my software development journey to build a game like this. I'm making excuses. I can still do it. I still plan to do it. That's the end goal of Satori, Tenlock. Tenlach. So what's Tenlock going to do? The characters have commandments. Instead of battle chips, they have commandments. What does a commandment do? It's a power-up. It's a battle chip. So here we're back at Potato Core. Now it's just going to be me, so I'm going to blow my face up. Beep, 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 beep. So with Potato Core, with Tenlock, instead of battle chips, think of it like a card game, but it's real time. You have like 7 to 10 second rounds, and then one of the players can trigger the intermediary round where you get to choose your next battle chips. Then you have to combine your battle chips in a certain way, like build a hand that you bring out into the field, and then it's real-time fighting. Real-time fighting I find to be more difficult than turn-based. But if you want to make turn-based games fair, someone either has to go first, and you have to accept that you're just going to have a disadvantage by not being the first mover. This applies to tennis. This applies to chess. This applies to Yu-Gi-Oh! I was trying to avoid it, but then you have to add like a speed stat, and then if you have a speed stat and 2 things have the same speed, then you kind of have to have a random number generator to like resolve that type of thing. Hate it. Way too complicated. All the rules are supposed to be make it more simple. So you have these eight potatoes. They can summon a potato, each of them, and then they can like launch that potato, which it can go kind of far. Then they can summon another one, and then they can like launch it again. And then if it hits the one that they just hit, it'll ping. And then if that other one had like launched theirs, it'll ping off that one, and then it'll launch it back into the potato or into like the the weep that summoned it, and that would knock that one out. So there's all these different iterations of that, because if that thing just got a kill, I think it should level up, like or go to the next stage. The thing with the next stage is you don't just summon one potato; you can actually summon three in front of you. So all of a sudden you have like this OP one, and you can like boop them a little farther. So it's not three anymore; it's like 4 or 5. And then if you get another kill, you would like level that guy up again. So honestly, the first version might just be like rows of these dudes. Um, it's so it's not that complicated, but like that's just like okay, like a piece. Think about it like pawns, rooks, knights, and kings and queens. They're not typed. You know, they're not like earth type, fire type, water type. What I just described is just the earth types. I want there to be fire types. The fire convention that I have in my mind is it's with my lore. There's this place called the wildfire, but like the way the wildfire works is once you touch it, you have to be moving or you're going to be accruing damage. So, but like because these they're like a fire creature, potatoes they create toxic berry that has this alkaloid called solanine, and if you eat solanine, you die, or like you could die. You get very sick. The potato vegetable is actually a root that grows underground, um, just like me. So you have this earth character summons them, launches them, and when they level up further, he can launch eight straight rows, and you can launch them right, up, down. It would probably be easier on a board. The game is actually freaking sick. I should just make it a board game first. I don't know. That'll be. I could just like. I could just do that. I think that would actually be really fun. And I could have the different modes in there. You just need like I have to establish ricochet rules. The thing is, there's going to be so many different versions because part of me thinks it should like match up how chess looks like. So that's 2 rows of them, and then you should be able to boop your teammates and like launch them forward so that you can have like another summoner near there. Now, okay, so that's with the Earth ones. I'm thinking that I have to go a full year with just those 3 characters and finding out all the different fun ways to do that. Where there's going to be like 4 versions throughout the year. You're going to have the standard 8 versus 8. Everyone starts at level 1. That would probably be fun. But then the second version is going to be okay. I think I got it. So the second version is do you have 2 rows? Yeah, I guess you'd have 2 rows. It would be way more chaotic because you could boop each other, and then like there's like rules with regard to the transfer of momentum, and like even for that first one, do they level up? Is that too complicated? Quite frankly, like I think the standard version of the game, there is no leveling up. You're just constantly booping, and because like then I could like have like a level 2 version on the same board game. You're playing the same game, but when your guy levels up, when he now he can summon 3 at a time, but it changes the board in such a way where you might be setting up obstacles that can be used against you. So you actually might not want all of these high level guys. So and they their movement pattern is they can only move like a T. That said, once you get to the 3rd level guy, they can move like a bishop. That's just canonical to the way I was building the game, the way they integrate with the future versions. So there's fire, water, earth, air as like elemental characters, but then there's also spiritual characters, which I don't know some of these might sound like, why is that considered spiritual? Heart based, spirit based. No, there's actually no spirit based because all of these are considered spiritual based. You have heart based, body, and you might be like body and heart. How are those both spiritual? It makes sense within this lore. Soul based and mind based. The conception is that like the heart is the place that the spirit runs in and out of. The body is the vessel by which the whole spirit moves. The soul is the source of the spirit, and the mind is the usage of the spirit. So that's what makes it spiritual. Then there's these 2 other versions, which are temporal and not ecliptic. Temporal, which includes the ecliptic, the solar, the lunar, and the seasonal, and the seasonal actually has 4, but it's just like based on whatever season's on the board. So it gets like so complicated, and that's like there's like a pumpkin. Like I mean, it gets pretty in depth. Then I've been there's a pattern of 4s here, right? So then you have the potato guy. No, they're all potato based. I'm trying to think what is the other one? Temp time. I could just find it. Let me just find it. Satori web app. Demo a Oniric. How did I forget Oniric? Oniric means dream. So dream, nightmare, prophetic, and lucid. So you can imagine that the lucid characters cannot be launched. They are lucid. They are in control. The prophetic characters, I think what would be cool with them is their characters should be able to, if they are going to move a particular character, then they before their opponent moves, like the game gets kind of annoying at that point because like if it's like a online game, you basically have to tell your opponent, hey, I'm going to do this move, and like but it would depend on if you're using your prophetic character. If you use your prophetic character, that means your opponent has to tell you what they're going to do first, and then you can use your prophetic character. And if your whole team is prophetic characters, that means that you do a move, then your opponent does a move, but then so let's say they do a move. Your opponent does a move. They're going first. Then you do a move, but when you do a move, you can say, "Hey, what are you going to do next?" Then they have to tell you what they're going to do. Then they say, "Well, I was going to do this," and then that character, then the person who did that can change their move. Part of me thinks that like the buffer for that would be if you use your prophetic character's special ability, that character cannot go the next turn. So they can see the future, but they kind of lose a turn, and it's like that's their thing. They're prophetic. The dream characters, they're like more like teleportation based and teleport based. And then the nightmare characters are kind of just a problem. They're also teleport based, but they don't follow the same rules. It's more based on the lunar cycle that's happening. That like once it's nighttime, they can go anywhere. Whereas like the dream characters, it has to do with putting dream tiles down. Same with the mind characters. The mind characters can put tiles down that force you to move in a particular direction. So it's kind of like these like crazy dungeon duel masters type of like king of games type of thing that I'm trying to build. But really, all I got to do is get I think the prototype ones. Oh, I was talking about Tenlock. The like the different versions of the game have to do with the different dimensions of the board. I really like the idea of characters having the agency to adjust the shape of the board. There's a lot of decisions that have to come in when you're building a game like that, though. If you have an 8x8 board and all of a sudden one of the characters says, nope, now it's 6x8, all of a sudden any character that's like off the side of the map, are they getting damaged? Are they getting compressed in? What is the resolution pattern? Does everything get squished in? My answer to that is yes, everything does get squished in. There are other ways to go about that. If it's an obstacle that's outside, it gets deleted. Like that item is gone now. That could be one. It could be dependent on the different dimension attack that's being. That might just be something I have to do for Tenlock. In all the other boards, like for the different elemental fights, might just be 8x8, or like a different mode will be 6x3. So I was thinking for season 1, it would be the 8 versus 8 on an 8x8 board. For season 2, you would have 2 layers of them. For season 3, it would look more like a chessboard where you have a bunch of level 2s in the back row with 2 level 3s in the middle, like the king and the queen, but they're just the same level 3 character. And then the front row is all level 1s. That would be one conception of it. So that's season 3. And then season 4 is you have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3, and you're facing another level 1, level 2, and a level 3. And it's actually only on a 6x3 board. But that kind of copies Mega Man Battle Network's standard format, but it's more like chess because you're like summoning these things. And that introduces, if I have that 6x3, it makes more sense when we start to introduce other characters, the ones that like are fire and water and air. But the other characters, quite frankly, I don't know if they're as fun. I like the idea of summoning things. So maybe someone wants like, so the way the air characters work is it like, let me just, I'll show you. I mean, this isn't going to do it justice, but these are the characters at least. You have Potatike, Potatot, Potator, Solacil, Solacity, Solacera. So the Tornada, you summon a tornado that like the resolution, it actually would be fun. The resolution would be fun on like an actual board game. If you're touching it, you have to move in a what is it? A clockwise pattern around that thing. I think it would be cool if you could also boop the tornado. So like even it, like so if you were under it and then it moved you to be like adjacent to it, you could boop the tornado and launch it at somebody. And the like because it's a tornado tato. That's what they are. Then you have water, which is Wassel, Colossal, Watatzel, and those beams are good at clearing debris, like the fire that the fire ones leave behind. They also can throw bombs that will like also like turn out the fire. They can expand the board. They have Omega and Delta bombs. Those all do different things. And then yeah, the fire characters, they burst. When a burst happens, a ring around them gets becomes, well, for the beta burst it would be a T. For a gamma burst it would be a 3x3. For an omega burst or for a gamma burst, or yeah, a gamma, do I have gamma burst? I have gamma and omega burst. Dang, I think omega burst, or so gamma, oh, it's got gamma burst and omega burst. All right, so the 3x3, and then the 5x5, which is like a huge problem. So with Solacity, if you're doing like the level ones, it's not really a big problem unless you start to kill your own. Then you level up, and then all of a sudden you could burst bigger and then teleport all over. Then there's this notion of like a speed mechanic. It's just a whole mess because okay, how do you resolve the speed mechanic? It's complicated. Like, if you're faster, can you move twice? Or if you're faster, you just move first and it's turn based. I don't know, but we're out of time, and this almost has nothing to do with the Brain Guidelines profile, but it's a video. We did it. Thank you for watching.